Right, 6 o'clock. We've got a big agenda to get through this evening, so let's get on with it. Going through the formal agenda then, I've got my little script I have to read out. Please note that it's intended to live stream tonight's meeting of the Scrutiny Finance Review Group. If successful, a recording of the meeting will be available on the Council's website within 24 hours. The induction loop is now operative. Members and officers, please remember to switch microphones on and to speak directly into the microphone and then switch off again after speaking. Reporting officers using Teams, I don't know whether we have any this evening, so we don't need to worry about that. There are some private items on the agenda and the live stream will cease prior to the meeting moving into private. Okay, so off we start then. Apologies.
None that I'm aware of, Chair, but I do believe we may have apologies from Councillor Begum. She's on her way, thank you.
Okay, we've got some minutes at pages 6 to 8. Is everybody okay for me to sign those? Remind you of your need to disclose interests where you have any. Do that either now or when the item comes up. Yes?
Councillor Franks, I just wanted to be noted, there is housing on the agenda. Although I'm landlord, I have no pecuniary interest with any of the items that are included in today's agenda.
Thank you. That's noted. Section 106, I don't believe there are any. Urgent business, we don't have any of. Chair's updates. There's one thing I want to say. It relates primarily to the business that we're going to conduct in private, but I want to say what I've got to say in public first of all, because we do owe a thank you, a very big thank you, in fact, to the Democratic Services team for organising the training on the really chunky item that we've got later this evening. And I think we also ought to thank the members who gave up at least half a day of their full-time paid jobs in order to attend the training. I'm grateful to you all for doing that because I was determined that as far as it was possible, all members were going to benefit from that. And the last thank you then is to Andrew Hardiman, who conducted the training this afternoon, because the one thing he's done for me is give me a very clear idea of how I would like the meeting to be conducted, and I'll come to that when we get to it. So having said that, if we can move on to items 9 and 10, I guess, Dev, you would like to deal with those in one go, is that right?
Yes. Okay, can you hear me? Yeah, okay. So item 9, hopefully I will have got the full update now. So what is going to happen in terms of the auditor's sign-off, the 18-19 account will come to the audit committee on the 9th of October with the auditor's report, and we're also expecting the value for money, and we're expecting the ISA 260, which will lay out if there's any adjustments to the account. So that's coming to the 9th of October. And then with regard to the 19, 20, 20, 21, 21, 22, 22, 23, that's as well, they're finalizing the value for money. And then the account itself will be coming to the next audit committee. There's one in December, but we'll try to organize one before, because the backstop date is on the 15th of December, the 13th of December. We don't want to leave it last minute. So we might set up another audit committee in end of November, bring the rest of the account, but those accounts, they have not been audited because of the backstop. The government will allow auditor just to disclaim those accounts. So that's what is going to happen. So by 13th of December, there will be line drawn on all the accounts 18, 19 to 20 to 23.
Thank you for that. We're moving on then, if there are no questions on that, to the Q1 revenue and capital budget monitoring. I hope, and I don't want in any way want to stifle, if you've got questions or anything you want to say on this, then by all means say it. But I hope we can deal with it quickly, because it's too late for us to make any comments to executive, because it's already been there and it's been approved by them. So unless you've got some constructive comment to make, perhaps we can move fairly quickly through this one.
So quickly on that, Chair, as you can see, there's a net overspend of 7.4 net, but it's gross 12.4. The table, which is on page 13, gives you a breakdown of the overspend. There are detailed explanation on page 12, which is the main areas of overspend. But what I would say here is what we have been discussing. The main areas is supported living, children, families, adult social care, housing, and inclusive economy has got a focus of underspend this year, which is good. But that's, when you go on the detail, there's areas of underspend and areas of overspend, and commercial income is still proving to be a challenge. So just quickly touch on that. You will see public health, there's a overspend but funded from reserves. HRA, slight improvement compared to the budget 2.4, the surplus will be 2.8, and any surplus on HRA goes on building more houses. Then dedicated school grant is, that's an area we'll have to keep an eye, because a lot of council has got serious difficulties in the DSG. I think corporate is more or less plugging even. And then the capital program, it gives you detail of a capital program. There's one project we are looking into, and there's some fact finding going on, so we'll bring a report detail on that. The key risks are laid out in 18, and the key risk here is we are trying to deliver a balanced budget, but when you look at this level of overspend, that is proving to be a challenge, but still officers are working, and then on quarter two we'll have a more latest update. And it's important to have these figures, because that will help us to prepare 25-26 budget. So we're already working on the medium-term financial plan and the 25-26 budget. So any specific question, I'm quite happy to go through, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Franks. Again, it brings me back to how we get here in the first place in terms of overspend, and we've talked about this. Adult social care has been by far, it consumed the most budget, and we've known this for quite some time. Public health needs to prevent people from going into care in the first place. We need the right care for them to keep them independent as much as possible. And then when it comes to care, we need to look at innovative ways, and we're not doing that, and it's been, a long debate that we've been having. And I'll give you an example. For some areas and some initiatives, you need to put in pilot projects, you need to do bid writings, and I know we have challenges and constraints, but kinship program is a perfect example. If you deliver that well, you're looking after people closer to home, by those members, by those next of kin. It costs the system less, and it keeps people closer to home. And we carry on raising these concerns, but we're still in the same mindset of doing the same things time and time again. I've been a councillor for now 14 years. I haven't seen a change in mentality. Now that we've got an integrated care system, we've got to be thinking differently. We've got to be challenging our partners. And I know for the fact, because I've got a lot to do with the NHS and the way it's working, there's still a lot of duplication. And if we get those bits right, you wouldn't be in a situation of overspend. So there has to be a broader level of thinking. Is there a broader level of thinking?
I think what I can do here, I'll make a note of that, and I will take this back to the department, because I can touch on the finance, but I will ask department to prepare a brief report. So on those specific, because they are a bit more in the adult social care. So I will get back, if that's okay, Chair. I will take a note of that if it's an action point for the corporate director, the service director in adult social care, to come back on that with a full explanation. Yeah.
Thank you, Dev. Anybody else? Yes?
Can I ask you, in terms of the nightly lets and the hotel accommodation for homeless families. Is that increasing? I know demand is increasing in services in housing as well as adult care because there are more of us living longer and demand services. So that is an increase that is natural. But in terms of homeless ones, I thought we managed to get more people into some sort of temporary accommodation away from the hotels and nightly lets.
So you're right, the numbers, and as you quite rightly mentioned, 90 let is a mix. So the latest information I have is the numbers have stabilized, so the number is not going up, and later you will see there will be a report coming from Claire what we are going to do in order to reduce the expensive one, the B&B, the 90 let, because the numbers might be the same, but if you reduce the expensive one and move it for our own like TAPS, temporary asset purchase, that we'll be looking at. But the point is, the numbers, yes, the numbers have stabilized, but the pressure is still there. So about people struggling to pay the rent, and then supported living is another area where we have seen an increase in the numbers. But the pressure is still there. That's what I'm saying here. We're still finding the pressures, but hopefully later we'll go through the detail how we are going to reduce the most expensive one is B&B and 90 let. Thank you.
David Wynn?
Yes, I'm, given what you said about the fact that the report, just keeping it to one item, please. On page 64, the first item in the forward plan of key decisions and issues is Newton Rising Business Plan. I'm surprised to see that there, because how can we have an endorsement of the Newton Rising Business Plan when the DCO has got delayed until January, and the fact that at the moment Newton Rising and the airport generally are considering whether or not they're going to be able to resume paying dividends. It doesn't seem to me that we can endorse the Newton Rising Business Plan until those are resolved.
Chair, we are talking about item 11 here, so this is not linked with the Q1, so when we come to the forward plan we can discuss that, but this is not part of the Q1. This is the finance group agenda, the program, we can discuss that. It's yeah.
What I think I'm trying to say is that it says to endorse the Newton Rising Business Plan. It seems to be scheduled for the 2nd of December 24. We're not going to get the DCO decision until January. We're not going to have had a decision on whether or not dividends are going to be paid by the airport. So surely that date is too soon.
That's, Chair, I think if we come on the forward plan, I think the Chair and the members can decide what comes to the forward plan. I can help, but at this stage we are on this agenda item number 10, so we can take that item when it comes to the forward plan, which is, yeah? Yeah.
Item 11, my apologies, Chair.
Yeah, it's 11, but we're not on 11 yet, I think, Chair.
Okay, moving on then.
Just a question on housing. We were in this situation, pressure environment, going back almost 10 years ago, and there was a conscious decision made, instead of putting people in hotels, which was very expensive, to purchase accommodation, which was a lot cheaper. Why is it in this case we haven't done that? Because it would have been much more cost effective to purchase already built accommodations, either in the borough or outside the borough, because it has been done. Why have we taken the most expensive option and ended up in an overspent situation?
Excuse me, that is clearly covered by an item that we're going to take later. So I think it's more appropriate we deal with it there. Anybody else? Okay then, moving on. We're on to, sorry?
Just need to note that report.
I guess everybody's just noting that. We're quite happy to note it. There's nothing else we can do. It's already been to executive. So we are moving on to the work programme, which starts on page 50. If you have any burning issues that you want to add to our work programme, now's your opportunity. If not, I would suggest...
This is where my previous comment should have been, Chair.
Yes, it should. You're quite right. But I mean, in the end, I'm sure you're not going to suggest that Luton Rising shouldn't have a business plan. And whatever the uncertainties for the future, it needs to have a business plan which allows for variations in the future. So it's quite right that we should look at it and that the executive should finally approve it, whatever the uncertainties. Anything else on our work programme? I take it then that you're prepared to accept it, and I think this is the time when I need to we move into private. Yes, it is. Is everybody comfortable with that?